You know where you are? You're listening to Cranked and Ranked.
You're gonna die!
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cranked and Ranked, the podcast where me and Eddie Sparxx... Oh, my name is also Old Head. It's not also Old Head. It is Old Head. This shit the bed real quick, didn't it?
Shit the bed?
This is, for those of you who are new, a podcast where two complete dumbasses rank rock and metal related things. And today we are going to be ranking another band discography. But before we get into that, introductions out of the way. My name is Steven, or you can call me Old Head. With me, as always, Mr. Eddie Sparxx. Hello, sir.
Otherwise known as the annoying British guy that brought up politics in the Misfits episode.
Well, he got the first part right. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, we won't be doing any of that today, right? Right? Well, if it comes up, it comes up. You're all just going to have to put on your big boy pants and deal with it. Today, we are going to be ranking the discography of Guns N' fucking Roses. Yeah. and this is a special two-parter. And many of you over there in your lounge chair listening to this, you're thinking to yourself, you take the pipe out of your mouth for a second and you think to yourself, wait, their discography's not very big. How is this going to be a two-parter? Well, let me answer that question for you. What we're going to be doing is a special part 2. Today, we are ranking the discography, all of the full-length albums from Guns N' Roses. Next week, part 2, we are going to do a special that we, because of the genius of Mr. Eric Smith out there on the YouTubes, we're going to start doing a thing that we call Slashed and Mashed. And what that is we take a double album or two corresponding albums and we hack out all the shitty songs and then mash it together into make one great fucking album. And I'm sure there was some English that wasn't quite on par with my normal lovely speaking voice, but I don't know. I get lost in my words sometimes. But yes, we're going to be doing that particular thing to Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. We're going to take out all the things that we think are filler and then put them together in some kind of order that makes a great one disc. Although they're both double albums on their own, so it's still going to be a double album. It's just going to be one double album that's just called Use Your Illusion. But that is not until next week, folks. Today, we got to get the real meat of this shit done. We got to talk about the Guns N' Roses discography. And, as usual, as we usually do, I just said, God damn it. Hold on. Let me get a drink of coffee. All right. I think it's starting to kick in. Usually, we talk about where we came on board with a particular band that we are talking about. This one goes back a long way for me because I was one of those kids that got into Guns N' Roses when Appetite for Destruction came out. I ended up getting Appetite for Destruction as a Christmas present and when I was in the 5th grade. So this would have been 88. Yeah, in 1988. So it came out in 87 and then Christmas of 87. No, fuck, I don't remember. I don't know time. Anyway, sometime in 88, I know it was Christmas because I remember my parents bought me 3 cassette tapes and they were packaged together. One was Bon Jovi, New Jersey.
Nice.
The second was Def Leppard, Hysteria. And the third one was Appetite for Destruction. And although I love Hysteria, I listened to Appetite for Destruction way more. I was obsessed with Appetite for Destruction.
It was so different at the time.
I loved it. Yeah, and it felt like bad like bad boy music. I was being a bad boy by listening to Appetite for Destruction.
Poison would say number one bad boy, but they 100% weren't.
They were like number 82 bad boy or something.
Yeah, yeah.
They were far down the line.
Which is weird to think, like, Slash was almost in Poison.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, everyone was almost in every band at that point with all the 80s bands. But, and so I became a really big fan. And, of course, I got, GNR Lies when it came out. And I was really excited about Use Your Illusion when it came out. Through all of that shit, I was a big fan. And you would say that I still am today. I'll get into my thoughts about more recent stuff when we actually talk about the more recent thing that have come out in the Guns N' Roses camp. But first, Eddie Sparxx, how did you get turned on to Guns N' Roses? I'm assuming you were in a department store and Sweet Child of Mine came on the speaker and you said, Mommy, there's an aeroplane up in the sky. Sorry.
Funnily enough, this is one of those occasions where it is a combo of having already known a few of their songs already, but it is also largely in part to the appearance of Welcome to the Jungle on the GTA San Andreas soundtrack. So this is a San Andreas band for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that is a hell of a fucking introduction, man. That song, that makes, I mean, I understand it's been played a lot now. But back in the day, it was like if you heard that song and it didn't do something for you, I feel like you weren't really even alive. Like, check your fucking pulse, man.
Like there's some songs that I'm a little bit, I've heard it. I know how it goes. I know this one.
Yeah.
But Welcome to the Jungle is not one of them. That's
great.
One of those. Yeah.
So
doesn't get old.
Yeah, no, it does not get old. So let's what we're doing is we're doing 7 albums. We've split up, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 are being treated as separate albums. And we're also treating Lies as an album, even though it's 2 EPs put together, but it doesn't matter. It makes up a full length. Did I do a little bit of a cock up? Why? What did you do?
I've got 6 albums. I've got Appetite, both the Use Your Illusions, Lies, Spaghetti Incident, and Chinese Democracy. Did I forget one, or is that?
Wait, hold on. Say them again.
Appetite, both the Use Your Illusion albums, Lies, Spaghetti Incident.
You're right. It's 6. What was I thinking? Edit that out. Edit that out. All right. From here on out, we know what we're talking about. I'm sorry about that, folks. Yes, 6.
That's okay.
6 albums. Woo!
6, the number of the beast.
So let's get started since we've been cocking around so much. I feel like that's a British term. Is that a British term, cocking about? Like, is that something they say over there, or is that another country?
I've heard dicking about.
No.
But to be honest, you could put cock about, cock up. Really, like any.
Let's make that a thing, but just between us. Quit cocking about.
Cocking around. I like it.
All right, so no more cocking around. Now we're going to jump right into it with Eddie Sparxx's number 6, Guns N' Roses album.
Okay, so my number 6 is Chinese Democracy.
Okay, from 2008. At this point, the most recent Guns N' Roses album.
Yep. First album in 15 years and was recorded over the span of 10 from 97
yeah.
to
it was
2007.
An ordeal.
Yeah, like this thing happened over 10 years and it shows because some of the songs could have been in fucking Tomorrow Never Dies, and then some of them could have been in the fucking Transformers movie. Like, that's how I've been looking at this thing. So yeah, you got Chinese Democracy. It's kind of a generic modern hard rock song. Shackler's Revenge. Someone listened to Dig by Mudvayne, because the opening is pretty much burr ding, burr ding, burr ding. Yeah, saying this album was late to
didn't
the
know
party.
how iconic the Berber Ding would become.
Oh, I don't know. Part of me thinks he was like, oh, that's good shit right there.
Yeah. Have you heard that Berber Ding song? Let's do one like that. I only want to see Mudvayne if when they play that song they announce it as Berber Ding, because I don't even know. Oh, it's called Dig, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I just want them to be like, next one is Berber Ding, and then they start doing the Berber Dings.
Hell yeah.
It's just fun to say.
Berber Ding, Berber Ding. That's kind of addictive, actually.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Better. To be fair, Axl's vocal melodies are good, and like at points, his vocals aren't as touched up as others, but there is some pitch correction going on here in this album a lot, and it takes away, I think.
I think at that point it's hard to tell in 2008 if whoever was producing the album didn't quite know how to use the technology properly, or since there's so much of an industrial kind of influence on some of the stuff on here, maybe he just decided to leave the vocals that way. Because to the normal ear, you can't even tell. Like there's all these people. I made a fucking video. Has it been like 4 or 5 months ago? Where I do the Miley Cyrus covering Metallica, and they use pitch correction on there. It's real light, but it bothers me because some singers absolutely don't need it, but they do it anyway, and it annoys me. But people are still commenting on that video months later, like, I don't hear any auto-tune on that. I'm all like, I'm sorry that you don't, but I mean, I guess I'm happy that you don't, but I'm not happy that I do. And I do hear it a lot on this album.
I think it takes a pretty seasoned music listener to pick it up, because to most people, auto-tunes is this. Really instant changes, when in actual fact, it just kind of keeps it at a perfect pitch. It's not so much that it wavers around like a robot on purpose, like rappers do, for example.
Well, I think that because of that, first of all, when you say auto-tune is a name of a particular software. So that's that. Yeah. But that's the catch-all name that people use. But auto-tune has settings. Like you can use it on a very light setting, or you can crank it all the way up like T-Pain, and that is when you get the auto-tune that everybody knows. That's a very different thing.
It's just the overemphasis on things being perfect is the issue.
I think that's what's. I don't have a problem with that in pop music or even in hip hop necessarily, but for rock music, I'm just like, unless your whole ordeal is incorporating electronic elements and things like that into your music, or maybe you're a proggy band. That's cool and all, maybe, but other than that, I'm like, just steer clear of it. How about just do the vocal take a few times so you get it right, huh? Maybe do the work for a change, motherfucker. All right, go ahead.
Nice boys don't play rock and roll, people.
That's true. I'm not a nice boy, and I never was.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. What have we got next? We got Street of Dreams. The auto-tune on the vocals here was pretty garish, I can't lie. If the World would have been in a late 90s spy movie, like I said.
I really like that song.
Yeah, there are a few standouts, but overall it runs a bit long, and it's somehow scattered and generic a lot of the time in this weird non-cohesive way. Like There Was a Time is pretty generic, and this is where the fatigue starts to set in, Catcher in the Rye. Again, the auto-tune on the vocals is a put-off for me. Scraped is a cool, heavy song. Riyadh and the Bedouins is a funky, heavy song. Sorry, in fairness, is like a slow, Sabbathy ballad, and it's probably my favorite on the album. IRS, this is where I really tuned out towards the end. Madagascar, the album Fatigue, had finally consumed me. This I love, had a great guitar solo, but the rest I didn't really care for. And finally, Prostitute. This album is way more of an Axl Rose solo project anyway. Yeah. And it doesn't have what I would come to Guns N' Roses for. and I think it suffers a lot from the generic kind of production and songwriting, really. Yeah. Even though like the musicianship is really good. I mean, Christ, they've got a roster of incredible guitar players on here. But it's just I feel like it just doesn't translate, having been done over such a span of time and not a lot of it being very, very memorable. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have to say that doing this ranking and going back and revisiting this album has actually given me a better appreciation for it. That being said, it still winds up being my number 6 anyway. But so our first match right at the beginning, I have a feeling we may match the entire way. I don't really know, but I have to throw this out there though. Out of all of these things, there's not a bad Guns N' Roses album to me. Because I agree with a lot of what you said about this. It is a little bit bloated, and some of the I feel like he could have used a producer to come and edit a little bit. But really, if you're following up, the last actual album that you did was Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. The idea of editing has been thrown out the fucking window. So
yeah, true.
I get why this album is what it is, but all I remember is when this first came out, when they premiered the song Chinese Democracy on, I remember it was supposed to be on the radio. This is 2008. So, your online music wasn't as easily available. So I'm all like, all right, I'm going to listen to the fucking radio and listen to this new Guns N' Roses song. And all I remember is that you've been gone for what year was Spaghetti Incident? 95, 96?
93.
93. Holy fuck. All right. So it had been a while. And this is an album that everyone had been waiting for. And you literally come out of the box with like one of the most generic sounding riffs that you could put in a song is the way that the Guns N' Roses comeback happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it as a whole, it's not a bad tune, but that riff,
it's nothing special.
Like that's the thing. A lot of older bands that are still going, I appreciate the ones that still pull out some riffs that make me go, yeah, because most of the time it's literally just bands doing like or something that you've literally heard 100,000 times, and they're like, "Here's our new song," and I'm like, "No, it's not very new." There may be a new combination of the riff with words and everything, but no, nothing new about this at all. So anyway, it was a little disappointing. So I didn't buy Chinese Democracy when it came out. I was like, I'll wait till later and download it for free from the internet, which is what I ended up doing. Probably a little bit later, probably around the same time. I don't know how quickly I got really hip to the whole world of like Soul Seek. That's my tool of choice. I'm not trying to tell you to go illegally download music, but sometimes you can't find shit anywhere. Anyway, it essentially took 10 years to make this album, and Axl Rose is the only original member. Now, you do have Dizzy Reed on keyboards for most of the album, and he's been in the band since Use Your Illusion, so at least he's still an OG gunner. I'll give him OG status. I'll give Matt Sorum OG status. But I think the problems with this are a few of the songs could have been cut. And I think in 2008, incorporating electronic elements and industrial elements was so overdone already.
Yeah.
And at that point, it seemed like it was the crutch of the out-of-touch 80s rock star trying to be relevant. Like, that's what they all did. Oh, no, now we're doing industrial. Like, no, industrial was in the 90s too, dude. It's like it's not now anymore. So it always just feels like, like you say, hey, fellow kids, we also like industrial. Like, that's what that shit always reminds me of. And the pitch correction is a little bit annoying on certain songs. But like I said, this album's not bad. It's just missing something. And honestly, the thing it's missing is Slash. To me, if it doesn't have Slash on it, it is not a Guns N' Roses album, because the combination of Axl's voice and his, songwriting style. Now it does help if you have the other dudes in the original Guns to help collaborate on songs, and then Slash's guitars, because like Slash can put a fucking solo on a song that can all of a sudden make an okay song pretty fucking great. Like that, you got to give him some credit. Like he's not the most technically virtuosic kind of guitar player, but he's one of those dudes that just like he knows how to fucking play his shit and make. He's like, you need a solo. Don't worry, it's gonna be tasty, and that's what Slash does. And I like his guitar style. So without that in Guns N' Roses, it feels like half of the band is gone, and in this case, more than half of the band is gone. Now I will say there's some standouts. I think "If the World" is really cool. I love that song. I also like that "Raid in the Bedouins" song. I think that's awesome. Honestly, a lot of the songs I like more are later in the album, but then just like you, there are also songs near the end that I kind of go, "Whoa, they could have cut that one out." But it's still a fine album. I think the problem with it is putting the name Guns N' Roses on it. If it was an Axl Rose solo album, I think maybe it'd have a better reputation. I don't know how hardcore Gunner fans feel about this album. I've not really ever looked online because I don't. Because I know there are people that are probably insanely hardcore Guns N' Roses fans, and I'm assuming they like this album, but I don't know if maybe they have the same kind of issues that we do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did a little bit of looking around just to confirm my suspicions about the pitch correction, and it seemed to me like they either, the people I found, they either didn't want to admit that it was there, or just didn't notice.
Well, the argument that a lot of people like to make is that he doesn't need it, and I'm like, that's fine. Needing it is one thing. The person engineering the album putting it on there is a different thing. Like that's and that's, I mean, it's but whatever. It is what it is. But this album definitely has its great moments, but the buildup and all the drama surrounding this album, it needed to be a lot more exciting. There needed to be a big payoff once it finally came out, and there wasn't. It was just a pretty good album, and definitely didn't live up to any of the previous Guns N' Roses albums, in my opinion. It's just I appreciate it for being an ambitious album, but it's an ambitious album that sometimes succeeds and sometimes falls flat. And that doesn't make a very entertaining listen if you're, especially when you're rooting for an album to be cool, and then another part comes along where you go, "Woo! All right, there's another one." So yeah. My number 8 is also Chinese. Not number 8. My number 6. God damn it! What is going on with numbers? It's because it came out in 2008. Okay.
He's on shuffle today, people.
Yeah,
don't worry.
Number
it's okay.
6, our joint number 6. I did not smoke a joint. I would like to, but I did not before this show. Our joint number 6 is what's that album called? Chinese Democracy. And now let's move on to number 18. I mean 5.
Okay, so my number 18, 5, is the Spaghetti Incident.
Nice.
It's a covers album, so I didn't do a full track by track for this one, but I did mention the most notable moments that stood out to me. Mm-hmm. So right out of the gate, I got a funny story about Since I Don't Have You.
Okay.
It's a nice cover of the Skyliners song, but the funny thing about it is my mum loved both versions, but never cottoned on to the fact that they're the same song until one day they both came on shuffle on her iPod in the same hour, and she was like, hang about.
Wait.
Yeah.
She didn't know that one was a cover of the other?
Yeah, she just
thought
noticed.
they were two songs that she loved, and she never thought about the connection between the two.
No, she just never gave it any thought. Like, which I thought was crazy, but stranger things have happened.
That's true. You can't get away with that with someone like you living in the house.
Yeah,
Mom, let me sit you down.
Yeah, like I honestly, there was like about 3 years that I had to really hammer it home that the Twisted Sister song goes, "We're not gonna take it," It's not we're not gonna make it, because the thing is, I said
Early
to
in
her,
their career, it was we're not going to make it.
the thing is, I said to her, look, I get that you like to sing songs your way, but the thing is, this is drastically altering the tone of this song. It goes from an anthem to an absolute dirge, because it's like,
it's a bummer.
It totally changes it. One letter fucks the whole song.
I mean, really, if you think about it, if you give them a few years, it's we're not going to make it anymore. So they could, I mean, eventually they weren't making it anymore.
Oh man, so yeah, that's Since I Don't Have You. Down on the Farm, I thought, because I'm a British guy, I'd bring it up. Axel's British accent on this is hilarious.
Yeah,
I love that he did it because it's brilliant. Buick McCain / Big Dumb Sex. I love Soundgarden's Big Dumb Sex from Louder Than Love.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite Soundgarden albums. Go listen to our Soundgarden episode.
And really, it's only like the last 30 seconds of this song.
Yeah, but it's that hook that everybody loves in that song.
Yeah.
Hey, I know what to do. I'm gonna fuck you.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know how we were doing it.
It's okay. I'll forgive you.
I don't even know why I did it high pitched like that. It's not. I guess I was trying to sound a little bit like Chris Cornell because his voice is way higher than mine.
It's the cranked and ranked version. Yeah,
It's the
the remix.
It's the
remix.
Cranked and fucked version.
And then finally, I wanted to bring up the controversial inclusion of the Charles Manson track, Look at Your Game Girl.
The secret hidden track.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, Charles Manson fancied himself a musician and recorded, I think multiple albums, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I'm actually very intrigued to find out if he's on Spotify, because
I'm guaranteeing you he's not. I don't think anyone wants to distribute Charles Manson's music. I know they did back in the day on some bootleg CDs, but I think that was it.
Well, the thing is, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of disgraced artists that did terrible shit. And it turns out Gary Glitter has a functioning Spotify page.
Wow.
And
a lot of people probably just, he plays that song that they play at sporting events and they don't know anything about him. Like, are we going to ruin everybody's good time just to be like, oh, by the way, you may want to look into this guy?
Yeah.
Because they don't call him Glitter for nothing.
But yeah, Spaghetti Incident covers album. It's good fun, but, you know, with everything above it, I had to put it at number 5.
All right, I also put it at number 5. We're matchy again.
Nice.
It's gonna unfold where we're gonna match all the way. We're just gonna roll out like a fruit roll up or something. I don't know. That's the first thing I thought of when I said rolling out. This is another album that I don't really ever listen to. I've heard it a few times, and I do enjoy it. I do have to say that, like, every time I think about this album, I always just think about how I've never been able to spell spaghetti properly. Like, anytime I got to put spaghetti on a grocery list, like, even the phone is like, what word are you trying to type? I'm like, I'm trying to type spaghetti. Anyway, so it's a covers album, obviously. We just talked about that. And, like, it's the last of the initial, like, Guns N' Roses run. Like, sure, it still doesn't have the Appetite for Destruction lineup, but I kind of feel like, you know, they had a momentum carrying them where they did albums and tours, and then this was the end of that. Yeah. The initial run of Guns N' Roses. Now, I think it's pretty fun, but only because I think it's classy the way they threw it together, because it's clearly mostly songs that were a direct influence on them as a band. And I like that. I like the fact that every single one of these songs, I can hear something that I go, I can see that this is a song that they enjoyed and they took a vibe or something from this kind of stuff for some of their music. And the production style is fucking great, and that's because it's still Mike Klink, and some of it was recorded the same time as Use Your Illusion. So it's still got that big ol', even in the '90s, that big old '80s production, but pretty damn. It's not overdone. Like I think it sounds really good even today.
Yeah.
As covers albums go, this is one of the better ones. I know most of the time we talk about covers albums and my reviews usually fuck off or this is horse shit or whatever. But this one is not. This one is. It's got that GNR vibe, and it's great. Like it's it's not something that I'm going to go to listen often, but I like what they did. It kind of sucks that that's the way that they left it off, but it also makes some kind of sense because like the band was kind of falling apart, and it's almost like they just had some covers they were going to put out. They recorded a few more and said, "Look, we're just going to put something out." And so it was kind of a last ditch effort, I guess, to throw something out there with the Guns N' Roses name in it. But yeah, it's perfectly enjoyable. And then that's my number 5, the Spaghetti Incident. On
Cool.
to your number 4. I have it together with the numbers now, I think.
Nice. Okay, so number 4. My number 4 is Lies.
All right, cool. You're
so
looking at me for some sort of knowing look.
Yeah. It's a mixture of the faux live EP, Live Like a Suicide, and then 4 acoustic songs. So it's kind of like 2 EPs slapped together.
Yeah.
And most of the first half is covers too. But yeah.
Well,
Reckless
I mean,
Life,
I think only one
Yeah.
is a legit cover, right? Because aren't they aren't they like previous bands of the members of Guns N' Roses? Like one's a Rose Tattoo song, or isn't Rose Tattoo? No, not Rose. Or is that? Fuck, I don't know.
Hollywood Rose.
Hollywood Rose. That was Axl Rose's band.
Okay, here we go. Right, here we go. We got Hollywood Rose and Rose Tattoo and Aerosmith.
So Rose Tattoo, I don't think was one of their bands.
No, Hollywood Rose was the one. Yeah.
Okay, so you're right. So it's half covers.
Cool. Yeah. So Reckless Life is a badass high energy opener. Nice Boys.
Don't play rock and roll.
No, baby.
Move to the City is a fun song. This first half really has a great live energy, even if the live setting is fake.
Yeah.
And then, Mama Kin, excellent Aerosmith cover. Clearly an influence on them.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Patience. Now over to the acoustic side. You got Patience, which is a nice song, and the only single from this album. Used to Love Her. This song always unsettles me because musically it's upbeat, but the lyrics are pretty twisted and uncomfortable, which is fucking awesome.
Well, I've always thought that they're so tongue in cheek that it still seems lighthearted to me.
Yeah, but it's lighthearted in kind of a maniacal way at the same time. So it's like yeah. You're Crazy, which is an acoustic version of the Appetite track, and it's really cool. I love both versions. Mm-hmm. And then finally, you got One in a Million, which is notable for containing uses of the N-word and
the F word, several slurs.
Yeah, it's essentially just a dictionary of shit you can't say.
So you know what? So since you're on that song, let's have a discussion. My number 4 is also Lies. But let's have a discussion about One in a Million. Because I'd like to know your thoughts. Because obviously there was controversy around it because of the words that he used, which I don't condone using a lot of the words that he used in this song. Just overall, some of the things are offensive that he says. And so much so that when they did this big old special edition of Appetite for Destruction that included Lies, they left this song out of that version. So, what do you take away when you hear the song? What do you think was the intent with the song?
I honestly initially thought he was playing a character, so I thought this was a case where you know, he's not speaking as himself. He's kind of playing this piece of shit character. And,
absolutely. I am 100% with you on this.
Yeah, like don't Anthrax have a song where they used it as well, but it's again it's in context.
Yeah, I think it's in the context of somebody else talking or whatever, but
yeah.
But yeah, so back when I first heard this song, I was 10, 11, probably 11 years old.
Yeah.
Even then, my outlook on the song was, oh, this guy is like a complete piece of shit. The character in this song. And here's why it only works that way. Because the point of view actually shifts from the verse to the chorus. Because the things that the character is saying during the verses, if he wouldn't be saying the things that are in the chorus. The chorus is, you're one in a million. That's what you are. You're a shooting star. Maybe one day we'll see you before you make us cry. We tried to reach you, but you were much too high. That sounds like it's now the point of view has shifted back to maybe Axl or somebody else looking at this guy that's like completely fucked in his way of thinking. And they're saying, look, you're just one dude. I don't know why you feel like you're special or important, but there's nothing we can do about it. And so it's never bothered me. Now, would I put those words, would I put the F word or the N word or even saying shit about immigrants in the song? I wouldn't do any of those things, even if I was telling a story of a different character. But that's just my personal choice. But listening to the song, I'm like, clearly it's a character. He chose to be edgy to make an impact with his lyrics. But then he went and fucked it up by not explaining it. So he did like two different explanations, both of which made no fucking sense whatsoever. And I'm like,
wasn't it like, it just because I said the N-word doesn't mean it doesn't mean I mean a black guy.
Yeah.
I'd call an idiot the N-word.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Which is just
kind of like, it's like that is a deflection in the wrong way.
But if you listen to the song, there's no way. There's only one way to interpret the song. So why the hell would he fuck? I mean, I know he was I guess I can't give him the out of being on drugs because I don't think he did drugs, did he? Axl Rose has been pretty clean the whole time, hasn't he?
Honestly, I think it might have just been his. I think he just had a real mind for staying relevant, and if he could do edgy, shocking shit, it would make him famous.
Sure.
And like I feel like that's kind of the route he took. He was like, what if I am this absolutely outrageous guy? People are gonna fucking talk about me.
Like literally like the entire SOD album, where they just created a character who was a complete piece of shit, and every song is sung by him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think that's lost on a lot of people that are fans of that album. Anyway, I'm just saying that. But so most of the time, if somebody, like, I'm one of those people that I don't believe in separate the art from the artist, because the art comes from the artist. But I also think that you pick your own battles and you pick your own way to react for whatever it is that you feel. So sometimes somebody will come out and say something awful in a song or in an interview, and I will just back away and go, well, our time together is over. But in this particular case, this song does not bother me at all, because the intent is clearly not meant to be like, this is the way you should talk. It's the character is supposed to be shitty. You're supposed to be like, well, fuck this guy, because that's the song. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting, because I don't know, I haven't, over the years, nobody has ever just come out and said it's a character in the fucking song. And I'm just like, well, it's so easy to just say that. Now, people aren't going to like that explanation, but anyway, it's just fascinating to me that nobody has stated the obvious of, all you got to do is read the lyrics, and clearly it's two different points of view in the verse and in the chorus.
It's like how Mike Patton plays a white trash guy in RV.
Yeah.
He's not being himself on that song.
Exactly. So I have no problem with it, but I was just interested to see how you felt about it too, because honestly, to me, it's the worst song on the album, even without all that. But I ended up putting it. Were you done with your critique of it before I sabotaged it?
No. That's pretty much all I was going to bring up.
Yeah, I put it at number 4 because overall I do really enjoy this, but at the end of the day, it's 2 EPs, one of which is essentially a demo that they put fake crowd noise on, and it has cover songs, and then the other one has a remake of a song on Appetite for Destruction, and I like the Appetite version better. Just because, like, I feel like the song, like, I read somewhere that Axl intended the song to be acoustic and that speed, but if you listen to the way he has to sing the lyrics, I'm all like, clearly he didn't intend to be that slow. You know, because he has to. If you have enough time to enter in all these like oh yeah in your in your song, then you ran out of words or something. But so I don't really like that version as much. Patience is a fucking classic. Like, it is one of those songs that it was played to death. It's you lump it in with the monster ballads, but it's not really a monster ballad. There's no big. The big guitars don't ever kick in and the drums don't kick in. It's just acoustic all the way through. But I think it's a beautiful song. I love it. And and I Used to Love Her is just, if you're breaking it down by songs, I'm all like, that song is also just okay. So, like, the overall vibe of the album is cool. It's very enjoyable. But at the end of the day, I'm all like, all the proper albums they did minus Chinese Democracy are miles better than anything that we've just talked about. So I ended up putting Lies also at number 4. And so now, you saw my brain, number 4. And so now we got to get into our top 3, which I have a weird, I don't know. It just feels like we're going to match the entire way to number 1, but let's find out.
I have a feeling if
I got a feeling
if this is gonna, I think this will be the tipping point as to whether or not we have or not matched up. Okay, so my number 3 is Use Your Illusion 1.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay,
I'll just say it. We did not match.
We nearly had a perfect streak. So the first part of the big ass quasi double album.
Oh, well, since we're on this one now, when this podcast is out, we've already passed the 30th anniversary of this album. Came out in September of 1991, 30 fucking years ago.
Insane.
Yeah. And two essentially double albums released at the same time, but that's how fucking ambitious they were. But
quadruple album.
But for Eddie, the first of the 2 is his number 3. Wow, that was my brain. The number 1 is his number 3 of the 2.
I'm impressed. I was struggling myself there.
There's a lot going on in his head, and most of it's not useful at all.
Okay, so I think the reason I put this here, because I love both equally for different reasons, this one has a little bit more in common with Appetite. And I feel as though, before I get into my track by track, they feel a little bit more out there, but less cohesive as a mood. Like, there's a lot of different things happening on this one, whereas the second one has a pretty kind of running vibe throughout. So I'm going to get into it. Right Next Door to Hell, killer way to open the album. Fuck yeah. Like, that could have been on Appetite. Dust and Bones is the first real, like, deviation where you're like, oh, this is quite bluesy, actually.
And you get Izzy Stradlin on vocals.
Ah, yes.
Which all of a sudden you've got Izzy and Duff singing songs Although Axl wedges his way into the songs in a very funny way sometimes.
Yeah. It's really cool though to hear these, especially there's a lot of piano on these two albums, and I really like that addition because it adds to their rock and roll vibe, because at their core they're a rock and roll band, you know. That's why I don't really lump them in with the hair metal thing, because
nah, me neither.
To me they're a classic rock band, really. Just with the production of that era. Live and Let Die is a fun cover of the Paul McCartney James Bond song. Don't Cry, the first version of one of these two albums' successful power ballads. Perfect Crime, Wild Crazy Rocker brings the pace back up.
I love the chorus of Perfect Crime, because he essentially is only saying perfect crime, but it's perfect crime. God damn it, it's a perfect crime. Motherfucker, it's a perfect. I'm like,
God damn it, it's perfect.
That's the way that you make a chorus. Just like put goddamn and motherfucker in the middle of it. And then it's got that really great moment where for some reason he decides to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm like, why did you have do you have to count all the way to 8 for that part? Shit.
Yeah. There are like wild vocal moments all over these two albums.
There are so many things on both Use Your Illusions where, like, from a production standpoint, I'm all like, that song did not need all that. But it's like, but it's just random shit from like Axl doing weird lower vocals that you can barely hear, and then just him randomly saying stuff. Like in one song, he goes, "Cool Ranch dressing." But that's why I love this album, because I'm just like, why would you do that? Why not is the answer.
Yeah.
And that's Use Your Illusion in a nutshell.
Hell yeah. So yeah, where am I at? I got You Ain't the First, which is this chill, bluesy, country-ish kind of thing.
Also Izzy.
Also Izzy.
Yeah, Izzy sings
You know,
that one.
I'm realizing now that, you know, my ears have been tricking me this whole time, because I did not know that.
Well, a lot of the songs, Axl's vocals are layered on top sometimes.
Right.
But other times he does let Izzy or Duff. I think Duff maybe only sings one song solo, and it's one of my favorites, but it's not on this album.
I think it's just because I've never like sat down and read the liner notes of these two albums that I'll always have stuff to find, because there are Easter eggs and little nuggets all over these fucking 4 discs.
That's the thing that you have to keep in mind about like the strength of these first 3 albums that they did. It's because you had sure, Axl's a great songwriter, but Izzy is also a good songwriter. Duff is also a good songwriter. And so the fact that they were all together, I think, is what made Guns N' Roses so amazing, you know? Because like at this point, I'm really happy that Slash and Duff are back together. But even then, I'm all like, I don't think that's enough. You know, I feel like Izzy was a really important part in what they were. And I mean, he doesn't want to do it. I'm sure they asked him, but you know, it's his choice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Where am I at? I got Bad Obsession, Chunky Rocker, Back Off, bitch. Double Talk and Jive, some cool vocal moments.
That's such a fucking great song. So I think that one might actually be sung by Duff. But then in the chorus, they overlay Axl's vocals on top of Duff's vocals. But the best thing about that song is it's a really cool mood, but then it does that thing where it fades out and it's the flamenco guitar that pans up, and it sounds so fucking cool. And when I first heard the album, that's what closed out side 1 of the cassette. And that is just an excellent side closer. Just that flamenco guitar slowly fading out. I'm just like, God, it's fucking sweet.
Awesome. And then opening up the next side would be
November Rain. which is that's one of these songs that like I sometimes I look at it and I go, why does it have to be that long? But then you listen to it and I go, yeah, you can't edit any second out of this song and it would not be as powerful of a song if you cut any part of it out. And I guess that's just the mark of great songwriting, great compositions, because like everything about it, to me, is just an insanely well-written song, and I never get tired of it. Sometimes I don't have time for it, but still, that's a different story.
I would imagine as well, it's probably the most iconic music video, with Slash in the desert.
Man, I watched so much MTV, so I saw all those videos like hundreds of times to the point where when the song's playing, I can still see the visuals in my head of what's going on in the video.
Yeah, like this song has 3 guitar solos in it, and I wouldn't sacrifice a single one.
No, fuck no. Like that's some of the best Slash soloing in this song. The fact that he would write these parts that in many ways were catchier than the goddamn vocals.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's another reason why Slash is just fucking awesome. I know I'm preaching to the choir in here. Even people listening to this are probably like, well, duh, it's fucking Slash.
That's the thing, though. When I think of this song, I don't really think of the vocals. I think of like things like that. And then you get Garden, cool,
featuring
vibey one, featuring Alice Cooper.
Yeah, you got that one. And yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you can't miss Alice Cooper. like he's just got such a cool fucking delivery on here. Garden of Eden. It's funny they put both Garden songs right next to each other. Yeah. That always struck me as funny. And they're both wildly different because Garden of Eden is an absolutely ripping rock and roll track.
That's one of those songs that I wish that I knew it well enough to like do it at karaoke.
Yeah.
But there's no fucking way. There's no way. I don't even know. I don't even know if I've heard Guns N' Roses play that song live. Did they play it live? I don't even know if they did. Because that's a lot. That's a fucking mouthful right there to get through.
Yeah. I feel like I'd get like 3 seconds in. It's a critical situation.
Oh, you already fucked up.
Yeah. Oh, shit. And then it's like, I'm just kind of like on my way through it.
It's literally like the that's great. It starts with an earthquake, birds, and then you finally go, I am a hurricane. It's one of those songs where you're pretty sure like the first few seconds of it, but then it all falls apart.
Oh, man. And then, holy shit, Don't Damn Me. Yeah. Really catchy song. Love the hooky vocals in it. Bad Apples, funk rock, funk, yeah.
That's one of those songs where I'm talking about. There's in the chorus, he sings like one bad apple spoil the whole damn bunch, but underneath it, he does a vocal where he goes, "Oh damn bunch," and I'm like, well, why the fuck why does that even need to be there? And it's just Axl being like, look, I know we've recorded 50 vocal parts for this, but I got one more I got to do.
And then you get Dead Horse, which is a cool song.
Yeah.
And it really tripped me out because I was listening to it on cassette one time, and it has that bit at the end where it goes like does the cassette rewind, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's gone wrong for like a brief split second.
Which is interesting because I'm pretty sure the song starts and it sounds like a record being played, and then it ends by a tape being rewounded. Yeah, you know what I meant.
Rewounded.
Yeah.
And then finally, Coma, and Duff McKagan, I'm going to say it right now, has my favorite bass tone of all time.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, it's drenched in fucking chorus.
So this is another one of those songs that it's long, but you can't edit any part of this song, especially like if you listen to a lot of it, the composition of the song is fucking insane. Because sure, it's got some repeating parts, but there's a whole end section that lasts for a few minutes where they don't play the same riff twice. It constantly changes what they're playing, and they're switching keys and shit. And it's just, every time I listen to that, I go, how long did it take to do that and get it right? Because it's like, you got to remember this, these few minutes of song where nothing repeats. And it's just, that's insane. It's a great song.
Yeah, and I'll never not be absolutely hyped when I hear that ding dong ding dong ding 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 ding, because that riff is sleaze. just pure fucking sleaze. So yeah, in conclusion,
Yep.
Use Your Illusion 1 is the one that today, when I finalize my list, it'll likely change in the next 2 days and then back again because it really depends on my mood whenever I pick these. But yeah, Use Your Illusion 1 is my number 3.
Awesome. My number 3 is Use Your Illusion 2.
Hey.
And before I really get into it, I'm just going to start off by saying this: there is no song as powerful as November Rain or Coma on Use Your Illusion 2. So right there, the album is already lacking. So I do agree that these are pretty close because there's a lot of songs on Use Your Illusion 2 that I go, I love this song. But Use Your Illusion 2 is the only one that has a couple songs that I actually cringe a little bit when they come on. Now, the first one is Yesterday's because he needed auto-tune on that song. And he should have done some more. His vocals are literally flat and sharp all over the song. And the chorus is just kind of, yesterday's got nothing for me. Oh, pictures that. It's just very like, all right, come on. It's very aggravating listening to that song. But it does sound like a song that could have been good if maybe they'd lowered his vocals down a little bit and had him do some more takes. But it's just, it's hard to get through. And then you have a song like Breakdown, which is essentially Axl Rose writing a Billy Joel song. And it's not bad, but it just, the payoff isn't there. And it has another thing that I don't fucking get. It gets to the chorus and he goes, breakdown. And then another voice goes, let me hear it now. And I'm just like, I can't even do it that low, but I'm like, why? And of course the answer is why not? But I just think it's not a very good song. But some of my favorites are on here. You Could Be Mine is on here. You Could Be Mine is one of my favorite Guns N' Roses songs. Now, one of my favorites that actually initially I wasn't really into, but it really grew on me is the song So Fine, which is sung by Duff.
Yeah.
Except for the beginning parts. The verses are sung by Axl. The choruses are sung by Duff. Now, initially, the reason I didn't like this song is because Axl sounds creepy as fuck at the beginning of the song. Because the whole beginning of it is him going... And I'm just like, you fucking prick. Like, get out of my ear with that. But then,
That's his Gene Simmons solo album.
It's just unnecessary. And then it's just like there's a perfectly beautiful beginning to a song and he had to make noise at the beginning of the song.
Yeah.
But then the verses are cool. But then when Duff kicks in, I love his delivery on this song, and especially like there's a line where he goes, when the lights went down on your house, well, that made me happy. Like the way he says that line, I'm like, God, I love that so much. Like that's the thing is like once you get to the Duff part of the song, I'm like, I really like this song a lot. It just feels good. So that's a really good one too. And also one that I think some people consider to be a throwaway, but I absolutely do not, is the song Get in the Ring, which...
Oh, I love Get in the Ring.
Is such a... It's literally just like... Sure, the songwriting is not as good on it as on some of the other ones, but the fact that they clearly just had a fucking fun time, just like, we're going to fucking talk shit for an entire song... And
it's just a giant diss track.
It's a diss track. It's one of the original diss tracks. Well, I guess at that point, NWA or Ice Cube and Eazy-E had already done it, but still. But we'll get to that when you do your track breakdown. But there's all those really strong songs. I think Civil War is a great song, but Civil War, when it comes to the longer songs, is nowhere near as good as November Rain or Coma. The version of Don't Cry on here. Is the lyrics sound weird. And you can tell that they weren't even intended to be used because it still fades out and goes into the vocal track from the first version of the song. So it's like, why is this even on here? And then I could go the rest of my life without hearing Knocking on Heaven's Door. I I just think it's really bad. It's really boring, and it's perfectly good as a live track because everyone in the crowd can sing along, and shit. But on an album, I'm just like, nah, maybe just leave this song out. And then wrapping it all up, you want to step into my world. Which, what the fuck is that song? So anyway, we'll get to that because you'll do your track breakdown. So you have all of these things. It's the most uneven Guns N' Roses album where some of the songs are just what, and other songs are like yeah. And I just think that there's so many things that you take from this album that you go, this is clearly just they held on to some cool songs for this one, but it's also some other shit that maybe they wouldn't have even put on the album if they weren't so ambitious. And so that's why I had to put it as the second one, because even with the strength of some of the songs in there I really like, we'll get into them when you do your track by track, because there's a couple others that you say the name of them and I'll go, yeah. So I do love this album, don't get me wrong, but I just think it's not as strong as an album as Use Your Illusion 1. So that's why it is my number 3. Moving on to your number 2, which could very well be Appetite for Destruction. I don't know. I don't even know where we're going now. So where are we going for your number 2?
Conveniently, my number 2 is Use Your Illusion 2. So this time the numbers make sense.
We did a little crisscross. One of those things. Yeah. The Mac Dad will make you jump. The Dad Mac will make you jump. All right. Yeah. I'm making the Mac Dad.
We need to do a crisscross episode and wear backwards shirts the entire time.
Only we won't film it. We'll just tell everybody, just so you know, all our clothes are backwards, and we're going to be ranking them the wrong way as well.
Contrary to our opinion.
Yeah.
Cool.
Everything's going to be sarcastic.
Yeah. Oh man. So, Use Your Illusion 2. So yeah, the second half of the double albums, and it's the slightly more successful of the two, selling a few more units than one.
And I think that was because of the strength of You Could Be Mine.
Yeah,
because I don't know, because that is one of the there are certain moments in pop culture history that I feel bad that you couldn't be there, because being there for that song coming out and Terminator 2 coming out, like holy fuck, man, I was just like at that point Terminator 2 was the best movie I'd ever seen, and then you had this badass You Could Be Mine video that you kept seeing all the Terminator 2 footage. Funny enough, I don't think You Could Be Mine is actually even in Terminator 2. I think
it is. It's in the part, I think, where they drive away from the bank after withdrawing a bunch of money, and they hop on the bike and they're playing it on the boombox. I think that's where it is.
Wow.
But it's brief. It's pretty brief.
Either way, it's a killer song, but we're not there yet.
Cool. So yeah, the thing I love about this album is that while I will admit Use Your Illusion 1 has more ambitious like jumps from style to style, I think this one has standout songs, but I think this one has a mood to it. Like there's this aura around too, like even down to the artwork where it's a little bit darker, it's a little bit more focused on the slower side, even though there are up-tempo songs. They really start out on a much more, not necessarily solely ballad territory, but there's a bit more of a somber tone to it, and I appreciate that as a full album listen. Whereas, I mean, there are songs on Use Your Illusion 1 that, holy fuck, but Use Your Illusion 2 from a vibe perspective, there's just something about it.
Sure.
So Civil War. What we have here is a banger. And it also
nice one.
So yeah, it opens this album totally differently
Yeah.
to Use Your Illusion 1, because this one opens on a slow, big, long, epic track, and Use Your Illusion 1 opens on a 3-minute hard rocker. But then you get 14 years.
Also, I have things to say about a lot of these songs. Fucking Civil War. I cannot, with a straight face, and not giggle at the end of the song. Just how fucking ridiculous what's so civil about war anyway?
Yeah.
It's like, it just sounds like something that would be said by a dude who's been chewing on the neck of his shirt for an hour, and then he just spits it out for a second and go, what's so civil about war anyway?
And everybody else in the room is like, bro, we should put that in the song. But yeah, 14 years. This one, with the track 2 thing,
sung by Izzy.
Yeah, just like Dust and Bones, it lets you know we have a bluesy side, and we're going to incorporate a lot of that.
It gets sabotaged by. My favorite part is that it gets sabotaged by Axl Rose, because I don't know if maybe it's just me, but if you listen to the way that it's mixed in the chorus, you have like Izzy's singing like I was the dog, I tried, and then all of a sudden and it's spin like it literally Axl's voice is so fucking loud. It's all like I'm here too, everybody.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it,
I'm
Axl!
the singer.
Axl,
I'm the man.
Axl, you sing on most of the songs. You can sit this one out, or pan your shit further back. Jesus fucking Christ!
Grab a tambourine or some shit. You can do.
I mean, he's already on the piano during the song. I'm like, you got something to do. You're playing the goddamn piano. Shit. Or does he play the piano on that? I don't fucking know. That may be Dizzy, not Izzy. Dizzy. Those are two different dudes.
It's funny actually. There's a funny Roddy Bottum quote, for Faith No More when they were on tour with him. He said something along the lines of, "It's really hard keeping up to date with who's in Guns N' Roses. You got Izzy, Tizzy, Dizzy, Fizzy."
Dizzy was the keyboardist, but I'm guessing maybe the piano they would have given it to Dizzy to play. Fuck, I don't know. All I know is that when they did November Rain live, with Elton John and shit, like it was Axl on the piano, and in the video he's on the piano. I guess it's because there's also keys for Dizzy to play. Okay, my mind is all over the place today. I apologize. I'm not on any kind of medication whatsoever.
I mean, these are incredibly ambitious works of art, these albums. So, like, they got really out there real fucking quick, didn't they?
Yeah.
like, it's like, yeah, we did our stripped back debut. Now it's time to get really conceptual. And yeah, they put out 30 songs at once. And I don't know what it is, but I think they're just, when I really scale that up and I think about the amount of work that had to go into that.
Yeah.
Like a 10-track album would have been enough, let alone 20 more, But yeah, Yesterday's, I do agree on the vocal front. I'd call it like, it's one of those that's like half ballad, half rocker.
Yeah.
I can't really describe it any other way. I'm going to go ahead and raise my hand and respectfully disagree on Knocking on Heaven's Door, though.
I also don't like the original either, so I'm not a fan. So it makes sense.
This is my favorite version of the song, and I love the chorus on Slash's clean guitar. Like, longtime listeners of the show know that chorus and reverb are my fantasy threesome. So yeah. Yeah, this is my favorite version of this song, and it does come across better live because it's just built for that. It's stadium, get the whole crowd singing.
I think also it bums me out because like sometimes I feel like Axl doesn't know when to just let a song breathe. So it's like, it's just knocking on heaven's door. That's the original version. But then he has to jump in with hi. And I'm like, there doesn't need to be any haze, dude. You can take the back seat just for a minute.
This is where he busts out the inward singing, outward singing.
It's funny how much shit I talk about this, but these are essentially albums that like I've loved for decades, and I'm still gonna fucking rip them apart.
Heading on over to Get in the Ring, like this song is pure rant in song form. They just go off on everyone, you know? Oh, it's fucking awesome.
And I also really love the end part where he does the and in this corner weighing 850 pounds, guns and roses. Like for some reason, it's just such a fun song. And then it ends with, I think it's Duff, but he sounds like he's been screaming for days. It's like, oh, the fucking Guns N' Roses fans stuck with us through all the fucking shit. Or maybe that was Slash. Is that Slash speaking there? I don't know. I just know that I just always loved that part so much because it's like, did they just get him out of bed? And he's just like, he's still hungover and slightly drunk from the night before. And they're like, can you do a thing at the end of this song? And he's like, yeah, song for the fucking Guns N' Roses fans. All right.
That's awesome. Yeah. Then you get Shotgun Blues, which is this punky hard rocker. Breakdown. Breakdown is a very dynamic song.
Oh, also, that's the worst beginning to a song ever. It's like, am I watching a Civil War documentary or am I listening to a fucking rock and roll album? Come on.
Pretty Tied Up. Now, I love this one.
I'm totally with you. Great song.
A really cool, obligatory early 90s rock band sitar intro, too.
Yep.
Love that. What else we got? Locomotive.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yes, that song's great.
Fucking love Locomotive.
I just love how in the chorus, I can't figure out where the fucking beat's supposed to go because the drums are doing that but then the vocals are like they trail off of the beat every time, but it sounds like they meant to do that, but it's just always such a weird part to that song where I go, it fits so perfectly because they sing the line, "Baby's gone off the track," and then the vocals start to go off the track, and I'm like, that is some genius shit right there.
That's
nobody
really
gives
clever
them
on their
give
part.
them the fucking credit, but yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah, man. So Fine.
Oh yeah.
Duff McKagan sings on this one.
I love it. I love that song.
I do agree with the creepy intro as well. Like it does remind me a lot of. I know you write me sexy letters.
Yeah, it is very. And I mean, and I don't know. There's a part of me that you would think that like Axl thought that sounded sexy, but I don't. But knowing what I know about Axl Rose, that's not. I don't even think that's what he thought. He just thought, I think this needs this right here. I think it needs me to do a and then a and then a.
Yeah,
I
think
ate
this
his
song,
liver with some fava beans.
Yeah. You know what I think this song requires? Me to fuck the drummer's girlfriend.
He sacrifices whatever he has to for his art.
Estranged. Now I will say, if any song comes close to November Rain on here,
no, I'm not going to let. Don't say this.
I will say it is pretty long. It's even longer than November Rain.
Yeah.
But I do like the guitar melodies and stuff.
Oh no, I'm gonna say the number one thing that makes this song good is Slash. Like he sounds fucking phenomenal on this song. It's got its good moments.
That's the standout for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do agree November Rain is the superior ballad.
Yeah.
Let's make that very clear.
You can, and I'm not trying to force you into my opinion. I just,
No. I agree with you that November Rain is the best. Is why I want to make that clarify that.
Yeah.
But yeah, You Could Be Mine is it's my favorite Guns N' Roses song.
Which some of the songs apparently this one and Don't Cry and some others were older songs. Like they already had mostly written from back in the day.
It's funny, like a lot of Use Your Illusion 1 was written before Appetite. So it kind of makes sense that that one has more in common with Appetite than the second one does.
Yeah.
The second one had a lot more room for Axl to kind of spread his songwriting wings. So from what I've heard, and it does show. It does show on this album. Don't Cry, again. This is the alternate lyrics version, though, which, aside from that, is the same song.
If it's literally the same track with different vocals on it. If they had made it a different version of the song, like it's a reprise or whatever that word is, however you say it properly. When I was a kid, I always said reprise, but I was like, that sounds not right, because it's not like you're prizing something again. It's reprise.
You know what?
Reprise?
You know what I think could have made reprise works?
Okay.
But, I think something that could have made this song really cool is if it was, just Axl and a piano. Can you imagine
okay. If it was a totally different version in some way, I'm with you.
Yeah, if it was, him at a piano doing all the parts, just him, spotlight on him, that could have been really cool, but unfortunately all they did was, change some of the words.
And they're not as good lyrically, I don't think.
Yeah.
But whatever.
And finally, we get to talk about the best song of the whole lot.
Oh, jeez.
Which is My World, which I have, over the years, crafted the perfect explanation of this song.
Okay.
Dave Mustaine joined 9 Inch Nails for a hip-hop side project.
All right. I could see that.
Yeah.
It's just so, it's just a throwaway track. It's not even, what is it, like a minute and a half maybe at the most?
Yeah,
and
it's like 90 seconds.
It's just...
You want to step into my world.
It's still, I mean, it's fine. It's a part of the album, and it's funny, I guess. But it's so just like, why would you even do it? But I guess at the time that was already at the time where all these artists were like, oh, we listened to some industrial stuff as well. I guess it was 91, so they hadn't quite yet kicked fully in, because 9 Inch Nails would really break big, 92, 93.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think from what I remember hearing as well, I'm pretty sure nobody else knew that My World was going on the album until it came out.
Not.
Because, which is insane. But yeah, Axl just doing his thing, And if it ends up being a 30-second, 90-second 9 Inch Nails hip hop side project Dave Mustaine demo, then
Yep. Okay. Well, let me get my number 2 out of the way, so we can do our joint number 1, because my number 2 is Use Your Illusion 1, and
cool.
we talked about this album enough, but it's got so many fucking killer songs, and I kind of compared the two with 1 and 2 earlier about why I think it's better. I just think that there's the number of strong songs is higher on Use Your Illusion 1, and honestly, I do like the way the album flows with. Because it does give you a variety of tracks. It does have the more bluesy side and the harder side, and it's got a couple fucking killer ballads on it. And it ends with an insanely, probably the darkest Guns N' Roses song with Coma. So I just think that overall you get a lot more bang for your buck, I guess, for your time that you're spending with Use Your Illusion 1. But I do agree that both albums could be better if some genius people came along and sliced it up and mashed it all together into one album. And that is what we will be doing next week for the first edition of Slashed and Mashed, where we will combine Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 into one 14-track album. Is that what we're kind of going with?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about these albums more next time, because I feel like, we're going to be really breaking them down. So my number 2 is Use Your Illusion 1, which moves us into our joint number 1. How could it have been any other album? Go ahead, sir.
Appetite for Destruction, baby.
Hell yeah.
was it going to be anything but this?
If we were contrarians, then maybe so, but we are not.
Cool. So, yeah, without further ado, I'm going to just jump right in.
Oh, we've had a lot of ado in this episode.
Yeah. So, Welcome to the Jungle, phenomenal song. I will never, ever get sick of this song. Plus, it's a San Andreas track, which, in my opinion, renders any song invincible to overplay.
It's also just one of the best album openers to me
Of all time.
and it's just, and I just love the fact that their debut album, the first track is such a badass song, and it's called "Welcome to the Jungle." I'm just like, that is fucking badass on so many levels, you know?
Yeah. And like it's structured really weirdly too. Like there's a bunch of other little sections in it that you would think in any other song they would have probably just gone first chorus.
Yeah.
But there's like a soft bit here, and then like this
the breakdown at the end, which is genius.
Yeah.
That honestly, those kind of things are I think that is a big reason why Guns N' Roses quickly shot to the top of all of those bands, because they wrote great songs, but as an album, just listening to the album, like they didn't just come up with a song and throw it together and then record it. Like,
they were compositions for sure.
Clearly, these guys are big fans of just music and songwriting in general, and they even in their drug and alcohol fueled haze, they still manage to like make these songs that I like. All of them have parts where I go, "Oh, that was cool," and they didn't even need to do that. And that's I 100% agree.
Immediately following it up with, It's So Easy is amazing.
Speaking of Duff with his bass tone.
This whole album gets me hyped.
Yeah.
But the thing I really love about it as well is when it does the "It's So Easy," like the halftime thing. Nothing seems to please me.
Yeah.
And then it builds back up again, and it's so cool. Night Train is another immortal hard rock song.
Yeah.
Out to Get Me is probably my favorite on the album. It's like, it's a deep cut song, but like I've always loved the riff in it.
I also just love how, especially the first half of this album, how fucking sleazy it is. It just feels that's why they obviously you equate them more with your Faster Pussycat and LA Guns. I mean, they were all friends and co-band members at times, but I just like it. Just got that. It just feels like it. Like they recorded the album and then they threw it in a gutter in the alleyway on some street, and then they got it out and then they mixed it and put it out. It just has that feeling to it.
It sounds like it's going to give your CD player the clap if you put it in. Like,
for real.
Like, there's just something as well, like, about most of this album that just sounds like, imagine getting into a bar fight to this album. It would be kind of
I'm sure
sick.
many bar fights happened to this album.
Yeah. I'm fucking innocent! Mr. Brownstone is a groovy track.
Man.
Love the feel of this one. Paradise City. Do I even need to explain why?
That's another one of those songs. It's just so perfectly put together. The way it builds up and the way that it ends, it's just it's a fucking classic song, man. And then it's another really overplayed song, but fuck it, man. It fucking slays every time.
Yeah, and then we flip over to side B, which is
side R.
Side
R. G and side R.
There is indeed.
And there's a reason. Do you know the reason why it is side Guns and side Roses?
Because it's badass.
Because side G is side Guns, and all of the songs are like about the street and about being out and being crazy. Side R is Roses, and all of the songs are about relationships.
Dude, that's fucking cool.
Bam.
Like,
Dropped a little knowledge on you.
that is, I have never noticed that. But yeah, My Michelle, Think About You, Sweet Child of Mine. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's all
awesome.
relationship, songs. I mean, at the end, it's a little bit, dirtier, but still.
Hey, it's always the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, My Michelle, creepy ass intro, and then kick ass sleaze metal.
Yeah.
Like, this song is awesome. Think About You, love the twangy, clean, vibey guitars over the top of the chorus. I love the little flourishes in there.
That's the Think About You is it's a song that it's almost like deceiving because it seems very basic. But if you go back and listen to it and just the way that the song plays out, I'm like, man, it's so well done. Like some songs are so good that it just feels like it was effortless. Like this song is clearly just a throwaway track they threw on here. But I'm like, I don't know. You really dig into it. It's pretty goddamn well done. But,
Yeah. And yet through it all, there is a song on here that I do never need to hear again.
Oh, shit.
And that is Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, no. Come on, man.
But there's a reason for this.
Okay.
It's a very personal reason. I'm gonna tell you why. It was my nan's ringtone for 3 years.
Oh, shit. That would ruin it.
And yeah. And every time, bearing in mind, I lived in the same house as my grandparents at this time. Granted, it's really fucking cool that one of my grandparents has Guns and fucking Roses as their ringtone.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's only so many times you can hear do do do
Yeah.
do 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 before it just starts becoming psycho strings, and you're like,
You know what? I don't know if this is a positive thing or a negative thing, but like nobody in my family ever listened to any of the music I listened to. Like once I started getting into my own shit, like my mom was kind of cool and she liked a couple Nirvana songs and stuff like that. But for the most part, like all the music I listened to was uniquely my music. And so I didn't get those issues where my grandma was rocking some Guns N' Roses. So that some people could look at that as bad, but I look at it as like the shit's just mine forever.
The thing is, and here's the thing, like my mother being, a Gen X kid, she's seen Metallica more times than I have. What kind of shit is that? She was,
I know we've covered this before. Before, but how old is your mom?
45. Yeah.
Okay, so she's literally just 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to be your father.
Oh man, we live in a crazy, crazy world.
Who would have thunk it?
Speaking of crazy, you're crazy. So yeah, this is a fun, upbeat, hard rock track, and the attitude in that chorus is amazing. You're fucking crazy, crazy. Anything Goes, sick talk box solo in there.
Which that one is one that I mean, some of these are probably also from those days, but Anything Goes. You can see a version online from Axl's previous band, and it's a little more swingy, and he does this really cute dance in the video where I'm all like, oh, Axl, your dancing got so much better later on.
Yeah.
But this version's way better than that. I guess that was Hollywood Rose would be the band that he was in at that point.
Yeah. And then finally, we get the infamous Rocket Queen.
Another amazingly well-written song.
Yeah. I mean, I'm never going to turn down extra sex noise in a track.
Or just the way that it fucking shifts from a pretty dark song to a really uplifting song in the last 2 minutes.
I agree totally. There's a certain shift at some point. Yeah, it's probably the post-nut clarity.
That's true.
Yeah, but I would love to be a fly on the wall, not for a perv reason, but just to
I've thought of that
know
too.
the vibe in the room.
Yeah, I've thought of that too. And I was like, Axl's in there fucking a girl, and like I can guarantee you that she's not attractive, but by my standards, because you look at a lot of the women that these dudes were rolling with, and I'm all like, oh no, dude, I know you're a rocker, but come on, man.
Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof.
Plus, it had to have been a woman that agreed to be fucked in a vocal booth. So you know that she was, probably a little fucked up. I don't know. Watch that people out there probably know who the woman was, and she's probably a very, very nice lady.
Well, she's actually come out in recent times and told her story.
Oh, okay.
The identity is known, but apparently she didn't see a fucking cent in royalties from that song for her sex moments.
Oh, but she got paid though, in dick.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the proof is in the fucking song.
I mean, to be completely honest, if they had paid her, I would have expected her to do a better job, because those moans were kind of lame. Come on, seriously.
Step your game up.
Yeah, come on. Act like you're having a good time,
But yeah, Appetite for Destruction, killer album start to finish. You can't fuck with it, really. Like, the only reason Sweet Child of Mine is ruined for me is because of a very personal, specific reason.
Yeah.
Aside from that, yeah. Awesome album. Your turn.
I don't really have anything to add to that. It is one of the best debut albums ever made. I think it's all killer. I don't think there's a bad track on it. I love the way that it sounds. I love, like, around this time, Mike Klink did this album, and then the year after 2 or 3 years after is when he did Rust in Peace, which are both albums that the sound is so good on them, because, like, we've talked about this before with other albums where you turn it up loud and it doesn't sound uncomfortable. It sounds amazing turned up loud. And that's a gift that I'm guessing very few possess in the world of engineering and album production, because so many albums, especially today, sound like total shit. And I wish more people would really try to go back and be like, oh, let's recreate the kind of sounds that were on albums like Appetite for Destruction, because it just doesn't sound dated. It's just everything is clear, everything is heavy, everything is big, and it's a fucking masterpiece of rock and roll, in my opinion. And I even think that if there wasn't, I like the album cover that everybody knows, because the original album cover, which was that painting that guy did with the weird monster, and which funny enough, that guy is also the guy that drew the Scatterbrain album cover. Here Comes Trouble. He did other stuff too, obviously, but I don't think that would have been a very good album cover. And
I do like the cross.
The cross is so
really
iconic, cool. And it's so it's basic enough and cool enough to just be this. I don't know. It's just everything about it, from the album cover, the songs, the production, the photos of the band, where they're just like, here's us with a giant keg of beer. Here's us in another room where we all look drunk as fuck. I mean, I'm just like, this is literally like one of the best rock and roll packages that's ever been put together. And this album alone is one of those things that, Guns N' Roses could come back and do another album, which they just released that song. Did you listen to that song? It's called Absurd.
I haven't heard it yet. No.
I actually like it. And when I first heard it, I didn't like it. It's a Chinese Democracy like leftover that they recorded with Slash and Duff and the gang.
Right.
But it's really weird because it doesn't really sound like a Guns N' Roses song at all. And so once you get over that, the energy is really good. But even if they come back and they go, oh, we're going to do a full-length album, and it's a complete shit show, the fact that they ever put out Appetite for Destruction still puts them on a list of my favorite bands ever, because it was so important to me when I was 10, 11 years old when it came out. Like, it was a big stepping stone. Like, I've talked a lot about how Van Halen 1984 was my first like rock album, but Appetite for Destruction was the first one where I got into, as a young kid, I would have referred to as like the scarier stuff. You know, the
Yeah.
stuff that seemed really edgy, like, oh my God, I don't know.
The hard shit.
I don't know if I can trust these dudes. And they were a stepping stone to me getting into heavier stuff. And on top of that, Appetite for Destruction is an album that even today, I still listen to it and go, fucking A, man, it's great. I literally have no negative things to say about this one at all. I think it's the only thing that I think, there's no way to improve it, but there's a part of me that goes, I really enjoy in Use Your Illusion how there's the other voices on it. I like hearing Izzy and Duff sing, but maybe it would have made Appetite for Destruction a less of a good album if they had done that. I don't really know. All we know is that it's perfect the way it is, and it is our joint #1 Guns N' Roses album. And so I got to do this for my wife because she likes it when we do it. Yeah, we did it. Because she's like, have you been doing it every episode? I'm like, I think we missed out on a few, but you know, we should do it. If I didn't think that we'd get some kind of copyright slap, I would just record it and put it into the episode itself. But I'm afraid that we'll have to fucking take down our episodes for that. But who knows? Anyway, yes. So Guns N' Roses has been ranked. There you go. You're welcome. But we're not done, folks. Well, we're done for today.
They are yet to be slashed and mashed.
So yeah. So next week, the second part of our 2-part special Guns N' Roses episode is not the ranking. It is called Slashed and Mashed. And we are going to go through both Use Your Illusion albums, take out songs that we think can go, and then put them together into one killer Use Your Illusion album. And if this is successful, then maybe we'll jump on to Load and Reload, and I can't think of another one right away, but I know that's definitely one that we'll do.
Yeah,
But I'm sure there's others that people can bring up, like, you know, maybe not even albums that are related, but albums that came out close together and are very similar. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But that'll be next week. And for those of you who are listening to this on YouTube, the intention is to put it out as a video so you can see our beautiful faces as we argue through which songs to remove. Clearly, if you paid attention to this episode, you know a few that I'm going to want to get rid of and a few that I'm going to want to definitely keep. Obviously we're keeping Pretty Tied Up and Locomotive because we both got to those songs and we're like, yeah. And You Could Be Mine's probably going to stay, I would say.
yeah.
But I don't even know how we're going to do it. Like, I figure I'll try to keep some sort of track on paper of songs that are being removed, and it'll be an interesting experiment for those of you who want to join us next week. So that'll be, I don't know the date, September 20 something. I don't know. It's whatever Wednesday that is. It'll be a video special of the first ever Slashed and Mashed for Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. And so that wraps up this episode of Cranked and Ranked. And before we go,
Cool.
Eddie Sparxx, do you have anything to say to the folks at home before we go?
You want to step into my world?
No, you don't. Really, you don't.
Nah.
If the world is anything like that song, I'm all like, you know what? I'm gonna sit this one out. Anyway, so yeah, thank you very much for listening, Peanut Butter Platypus. To you, the lovely listeners who make it all through our shit and make this all worthwhile. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week. You'll literally see us next week. And before then,
Hell yeah.
as usual, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Later, dude.
Oh, I'm gonna watch you poo.
That was okay. I'm going to leave all of that on there because I could just cut it off before you get to the poo part. But you know what? We're putting it all out there for the audience.
I couldn't think of anything that rhymed, so I just thought of poo.